Once one sanskar is gone, the spashtata of the gender, which actually starts from the physical anatomy, happens at the Punsavan sanskara stage. Punsavan is not for the male child. Do not be under the impression that it is for a male child. It is not. It is for a Uttam Santati, it is for a Swastha Santati. We have people who have got Punsavan sanskaras done in our in SANSKRUTI Arya Gurukulam, who have had daughter, who have had girl childs. So it is not something which is done to have a male child. So in case someone is trying to give you, someone is saying, oh, you know, this is going to be a short boy, let's do this Punsavan sanskara, give me $10,000, don't go for that. It is not the purpose. So Punsavan sanskara is for that. Then Anavalopan Guruji spoke about that. Simantonayan is to ensure that the bones of your the skull, where the Sukshma Rupa, the Sahasrara Chakra is made, is actually strengthened. Another very important thing, I think I'll really quickly talk about that, is that now a lot of childbirths are happening with surgery. So in surgery, one of the things that is done, that the child is pulled out with biceps, with the tongs, with the forceps, sorry, biceps, I'm so sorry, with the tongs, with the forceps. Where does the forceps actually hold the child?
Skull.
In the skull. You try and go, and I leave this question open, you know, with the Google Guruji. Go to Google Guruji and find out the number of cases, autism cases, which are increasing. The skull, and we, thousands of years before that, we have a sanskar to ensure that the skull is strengthened. Why? Because the child comes out with the skull, out with the head first. So unless that is strong, it has to be strong, because it is a live birth, and it is a new birth for the mother, for the woman as well. A mother is born the moment a child is born. Mother is not born before that. Once becomes a mother, so a mother and a child are always the same age. A woman might be an elderly age. Yeah? So that is what the Simantonayan sanskar does, is to strengthen the head. And all these three sanskaras or other four, they happen even before the child is born. The next 5 sanskaras, Jat Karma sanskar is when the child is born, which is actually the Suvarna Prashan sanskara, which is done when the day the child is born. Namkaran sanskar, which happens certain days later. Nishkraman sanskar is when you're supposed to take the child out for the first time. These days, the children, they're born in the hospitals. The very next day, probably sometimes in the same day or 2 days time, that is their first Nishkraman. They travel, they come out of that, they are not supposed to. So Nishkraman, there is a sanskar, Nishkraman sanskar, which means when the child is supposed to be brought out into open. Similarly, you have an Annaprashan sanskar, when the child's digestive systems become good for digesting anna or hard food, anything other than milk. And Mundan sanskar is taking the hair off, the birth hair off. Out of the 16 sanskaras, and after that you have Karna Vedan, Vidyarambha, Upanayan sanskar, Vedarambha, and only 3 sanskaras which is left for the adult life, which is Samavartan sanskar, which is the end of education, when the Guru used to give the permission that now you have completed your education, you have learned what you were supposed to learn the right way, now you are going free to enter the Grihasthashram. And after that there are only 2 sanskaras, the Vivaha sanskar, or the Panigrahan sanskar, and the Antyeshti sanskar. Out of 16, how many sanskaras are happening before the child is even 5 years?
30.
You understand the importance of this time? So our rishis, we all understand and accept that the way they have designed our society, the way they have designed all the systems for us, they have given a lot of thought to it. So out of the Shodasha sanskaras, there are 10 or 11 of them which happen before the child is even 5 years. So you understand the importance of the first 5 years, 0 to 5 years, and that is where we give the least amount of attention to the child for anything other than just, oh, let's feed the child. The mothers are working in Singapore. I am sure there are a lot of mothers who are working. You get the maternity leave for how many months? 3 months. 4. The 5th month, the moment the 5th month starts, the mother joins the office back. The child is either at home with an elderly person, or worst is at the crash. Yeah, oh no, I take the pump, my child takes my milk only. Imagine, just try and associate. I'm leaving the thoughts open. I'm not telling you the entire thing on what happens. This is what you'll get to know when you understand and you get to learn Vedic parenting, all the nitty-gritties of it in detail. But imagine, just I'm leaving the question open. So the importance of so many sanskaras, that means there's so much of purushartha which needs to be done on the child before the child is even 5 years. And one of the worst things which is happening, the mother going back to the office the moment the child is 4 months old, at least for 8 hours, if not more, if not less. The child is away, the infant is away from the mother. Now imagine the impression that it is building. Yeah, there's just one open question that I'm leaving at here. These are the sanskaras, and the 10 sanskaras which happened before that, I kind of try to list them. But one thing, number 5, you see here, the child must be safe from noise and light for up to 4 months. The moment the child is born, the picture is on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. We had a baby girl. We had a baby boy, blue color, pink color. You have the templates available, you just put the picture. What is the first thing? They're saying don't even put on the lights, putting a flash on top of the child, and then when the child is on the mobile phone, when he's 7 years of age or she's 7 years of age, they say, oh, my child doesn't even give up the mobile phone. All the time he's on mobile phone. Who was the first one to introduce the mobile phone to the child? The parent. Oh, I have to tell my falana that we've got a child. Let's celebrate. Do celebrate. The celebration doesn't always has to be by way of these yantras. Just one example. Again, I'm leaving you with an open thought here. Now, what is the need? Again, coming back to the question that why is it that we need Vedic parenting? There's something, a concept which started thousands of years back. Okay, fine. World has changed. We are in a very competitive world. Why is it we need it now? And the answer lies in the same question, the 3 questions that I said. The immunity of the child, the behavior of the child, and the stress, the mental situation of the child. And there's certain more things that, again, this is going to be very crude. You might not like knowing or, being told these things, but it is unfortunately this crude. What to do? We can't prevent our children from using mobile phones and laptops. The schools only these days are having everything on laptops. Their assignments, their classes, everything is on laptop. But outside the time when they are on that laptop for their school, now that is again an unadarsh situation and an ideal situation. It is not ideal situation. What is it that you want to do about it? The time when they are not on laptop, do you have enough interesting things that your child feels like leaving the laptop and moving on and jumping on to the other thing? Are we creating that? Think about it. The child should, be looking for the hour, just like, Guruji was talking about this example of children in 6 to 10 years of age, how they get ready to leave the school the moment the bell rings. Yeah, they just rush off from the school. And that's what when we as parents, when we go to pick up our children, we see that. The moment the bell rings and all the children come out, they all come out running as if they've just been out of some prison. Yay, happy to see the parents, and they rush towards them. Yeah, that is something that we all have seen. Now, this, what is the happiness? So they are coming out of the school, so we have to go home, we'll be relaxing, we'll be with our parents, whatever might be their thought. There are too many thoughts in their heads. So similarly, when the class ends on the laptop, do they have the same reaction? They'll open another window very quietly, with your knowledge, without your knowledge. They'll get busy with something else. When they have the energy and the willingness to come out of the school when the bell rings, and of course the elderly children will come with a little swag, with their rucksacks hanging down their shoulder, but they definitely want to come out and go home and go somewhere else. But it doesn't happen with laptops. So the idea is do we have enough things which are outside the laptop, where we have an engagement with our children, where we have a samvada with our children? That is something that you need to think about. Some things that I have just listed I will talk about that is there's a lot of problems, a lot of health issues which are coming with children. Guruji spoke about type 1 diabetes. They're having stress, they're having anxiety, hyperactivity, heart problems. A lot of what we call the autoimmune, right from the birth, the immunity is low. So many things which are happening, and they're very sensitive. Oh, my child is sensitive to dust. The child is sensitive to some particular food item. The child is sensitive to probably sometimes even noise and light. Right? These are things that you face. You face these challenges. There is a figure that Guruji, there's a very interesting data that Guruji shared today, that National Crime Record Bureau, it's there in India, there's an agency. What they say that there are 211 children who leave their homes every day. And the number of old age homes is increasing. People contribute, people donate money. Okay, I've earned enough money, let me donate it to a Vruddhashram. Let me get a Vruddhashram made. I'll build a Vruddhashram where people can come and live once they are away from their children. That is something which is happening, which is increasing. Why are the children going away from their families? When they have their class, when their laptop session ends, what is it that the parent is doing? So the child feels invited enough. Oh no, I have to go and talk to my father, talk to my mother, play with my siblings. At the most you have your football session lined up, you have your skating session lined up, let's get ready, rush there. No time for talking. Initiate a samvada with children and talk to them about their things. You don't have to talk to them about Adhyatma. You will not tell the child, oh, tell me what is Atman. How do you tell that to a child? Is to play a game probably with the child. Now, what are the kind of games that you can play, how you can engage the child is something that we tell you. There are a lot of big, I would say, residential seminars that we organize where we do that. For example, the concept of Atman, if you have to introduce to the child. That we are not our body, we are something else. There's a game called Main Kaun Hu? Who am I? The child says that, who am I? Tell me who am I? So the child would probably touch your hands. Oh, this is my hand. This is not me. Who am I? He'll probably touch your shoulder. Oh, this is my shoulder. This is not me. Who am I? So like that, gradually say, oh no, this is I use it to see. This is not me. Who am I? So you generate a curiosity in the child and try and do that for 10 minutes, and you'll see the child will forget the mobile, will forget the laptop. Even elder children, like 10 to 12 years of age, engage with them in that and then see immediately they'll forget whatever was playing on that. Just a small example I said to engage with children. I'll give an example from the Gurukula children. We have children from the age of 8 years to 14 years currently who are in Gurukul, the 15 students that we have. We do not have, there is no mobile, there is no TV, there are no mobile phones, there are no computers. I teach computers there, but that happens very, very rarely because their main focus is on studying some other things like Sanskrit they are learning, Vyakarana they are learning. And they do not miss mobile, they do not miss TV. They all come from families, right? We get children admitted only after the age of 8. So from 8 to 12 years is when the children get admitted. They do not have mobile, they do not miss mobile. Why don't they miss mobile? Because there are so many things which are planned. They're not just activity and probably football classes or dance classes or music classes. No. All that is of course also part of education. But there are so many things for them to do. And what are those things? That core on those things is Swavalamban. Self-dependence. Do your things yourself. So, when you are teaching a child how to brush your teeth, yes, you would teach for some time. But once the child has learnt it, make the child responsible to do it himself or herself. Take your plate, put it in the sink or wash it. Here we do not have the luxury like in India that you have a lot of maids who come and do that job for you. They're either dishwashers or you do it with hand. But why is it only the mother or someone, whosoever is a family member, an elder person who is doing it for all? Make the children do those small little things themselves. make them hang their clothes. These small little things, the swavalamban that we teach to the children is very important, because what is missing currently, or if I can just do a very quick comparison and what is there in the Gurukul environment and what is not there in our homes, is the idea of having so many things that children are supposed to do before they even start to, before they start their first class. They all stay in the same parisar, in the same premise, and the teachers also stay there, like I also stay, the Upacharya also stay there. So everyone is there, but the class starts at 9 o'clock. Now before 9 o'clock, they're supposed to get up. There's a Pratna Sabha which happens in the morning. They're supposed to arrange everything, clean the room, spread the dari, do the preparation for Agnihotra, start the mantra, do everything, do the Agnihotra, and then get ready, come out. The breakfast is going to be at 8. You are supposed to go and clean your room before that, and they are full of energy to do that. They do that and they complete everything at 9 o'clock. They are sitting. So the idea is that, oh my God, it's not that, oh, I have to go to school. No, mommy, I don't want to go to school today. I don't feel like, okay, bacha, don't go. Or no, you have to go. These are the only two options that we have. If the child says that. Here they will say, oh, 9 o'clock I have my class. I have to very quickly finish up other work. So they don't have the time to think that, oh, study is something that I have to do. Oh, this is the job that I'm supposed to do. Quickly do it and then I'm supposed to go and start the lecture. Or, the Acharya is going to come. And talking about the prem and anushasan, the love and discipline thing, another example I'll give to you is when the child comes to the class, at 9 o'clock the session starts. Some child was roaming around, playing with the cows, trying to spend time there. He got late in washing his clothes. 10-year-old child, cute looking, people will say, oh, kitna pyara bacha hai wala child. He got late. He comes into the class, he's standing, he's asking the Guruji, can I come into the class? Guruji doesn't respond. And he doesn't ask twice. He's just supposed to sit there, stand there and wait. Wait. There's no this. You will say, oh God, what I do? First, the child might even get little, VP. Rone jaisa ho jayega. If there's a girl child, she will start crying. And then say, oh, look at that. If it happens in school these days, the parents say, oh, look at that. They're making my child suffer. That is not suffering. That is actually ensuring that there is a certain kind of discipline. There's a nityata which comes into the child. The child is supposed to be responsible for their own job. You are already giving them a very controlled environment. They are not out in the open in the streets that where, the sky will fall on them. But these are the small things that we do to try to give them a controlled environment. Why do we do that? Because, again, I think I'll keep going back to relating it to the session in the morning. But Guruji spoke about Panchakosha today. That there are 5 koshas in the body or on top of the Atman. There are like 5 layers on top of it. The Sukshmatam or the closest on the Atman is the Anandamaya Kosh. On top of it is the Vijnanamaya Kosh. On top of it is the Manomaya Kosh. On top of it is the Pranamaya Kosh. And on the outermost side is the Annamaya Kosh, which is our body. And all these koshas have, this is another very big topic, and of course there is a lot of videos also that you can go and see and stay engaged with us to understand it better. But in the age group of 6 to 10 years, all these koshas have a peak time of development. So in the age of 6 to 10 years, you remember that sutra, Dashavarshani Tadayet? So that 6 to 15 years is that time. So at that time, you are supposed to give, if they are not living in that environment, you are supposed to create those struggles, not struggle in the sense that, oh, they are supposed to struggle for food, no. But create certain sangharsha in their life. So how that sangharsha gets created in that child's life who is standing at the door asking for Guruji to come inside the class? Okay, fine, you are supposed to be a little more quick in doing your things. You're supposed to plan your things better. Oh, I have to do so many things. I have to wash my clothes, I have to clean my room, today I have my duty in the Pakagruha as well. I'm supposed to spread the daris. And then I'm supposed to, probably there's a child there's a student who is unwell, so he's supposed to look after or probably clean his clothes as well and then be ready and get into the class at 9 o'clock. That is enough and controlled struggle for the child. And that is what ensures that he looks forward to the next day. There has to be a lakshya for the child. So these are, and again, I am spreading all across and just feeding you small points to give you an idea that when we talk of Vedic parenting, how it is different from what we call the modern parenting is some very fundamental points on what is the scope of parenting. So this is something, as I said, the crux of sutras and upsutras that Guruji has created in a sar form for us. And this is something which has come from thousands of years of tested knowledge, which is experience based and which is literally parabuddhi based. What you have in the modern parenting, the books that you'll get, there might be a lot of courses available. There are a lot of speakers who talk about that, about parenting. Thousands of dollars they charge. But the fundamental is it's usually a thought, and it is based on opinions and thoughts of people, of individuals who might have done a certain study in a very controlled environment, and they say, this is how the world works. Another example that I can share, in India, there is a Bachelor of Education course called B.Ed. Everyone who wants to be a teacher is supposed to do that. Now, in that, they teach a theory which is called the Pavlov theory, or there who are students of psychology would be aware of this word Pavlov's theory. What did Pavlov do? Sorry?
Conditioning.
Conditioning. And
Ring the bell.
Ring the bell. He did an experiment on dogs. And the crux of that was ring the bell and then the dog will start creating saliva. This is a big experiment. He did that on dogs, and the theory is applied to kindergarten. The fundamental difference that in the kosha Vigyan, when you understand the Panchakosha as part of Vedic parenting, is that humans and animals are different. Animals have 3 koshas, humans have 5. The cognizance, the Vijnanamaya kosh is present only in humans. The dog has a conditioning because that's how the mechanism of a dog works. That is not how a child works. And a child is not born, or a child is not 2 years old just because he was born on a certain date, he or she was born on a certain date, and is 2 years on a certain date. We have a theory of Atma, which has many janmas. There is a journey. So everyone, all of us who have come in this janma, we have got our Pur Janma ka sanskaras, and that is what sanskara is. Sanskara is something which gets on to your Atma, which carries on with you to the next lifetime. So every child who has come has already carried a lot of knowledge and sanskaras from their previous lives. A dog doesn't have that memory, doesn't have that kosha. A human child has. So the difference being in that is a knowledge which is available to us and we are supposed to make use of it, versus a Western philosophy which says, "Ghanti bajao, saliva aayega." That is how in BHU, that is how they talk about Pavlov's theories, and they have to make fun of their professors. Oh, what was your Bible like? Oh, I said, "Ghanti bajao, saliva aayega." Ring the bell, there will be saliva on a dog's mouth. Conditioning. So they say that do these things with the child and the child will be conditioned to that. That conditioning is hard conditioning. And what Vedic parenting or what our Gyan says, that anything which has to become a sanskara, which has to become habit, has to come from the inside. It has to be self-invoked. Now, how to self-invoke that? That is the tool, that is the mechanism which is told to you, which you can learn and then you can start using with your children. So why does the child leave the laptop and comes and engages with you if you are doing some very interesting activity or if you want to engage in a communication? Because he or she has that from the inside. Oh, let me go and see what daddy is doing. That's not because come here, I have to talk to you, let's spend some quality time. No. That is when it happens from inside. When the child wants to do something from himself or herself, that is when the engagement happens. So the prerana has to come from inside. Versus something which is a conditioning. Okay, sit in a row. What we are doing actually at those early age in those preschools, we are conditioning, making the children school ready. And in school, we are making the children job ready, factory ready, not even job ready, you're making them factory ready. The idea is to bring up the children in that fashion that their abhivyakti is developed. Another very important aspect, we spoke about this, we touched upon the Panchakosha development part of it, that is something which is completely missing. They go with Pavlov's theory, who does a controlled experiment on dogs and implements it on human kids. And that is which is across the world now. versus a Panchakosha Vikas, which tells you that every kosha has a certain age where it develops, so the parenting actually changes according to that. Another very important aspect is that we spoke about the Shodash Sanskaras. So the concept of sanskara is not there. The parent is born the day a child is admitted to the school or starts formal education. Then you get, the parents get registered as parents. But parenthood, abhivavakta start in our systems before the child is even conceived, or at least from the time the child is conceived. That is a very fundamental difference in that. What is the limit of parenting guidance? I think that we were talking about with the lady here. He said, okay, fine, Abhi, Vedic parenting is not a concept. My children are grown up, they're kids, they're married now, they have their children. So Vedic parenting or the parenting, modern parenting is restricted to father and mother. Everything that is supposed to be done by the father and the mother. Vedic parenting or the concept of kutumba is that a child is not only connected with the father and the mother. There are a lot of other people also in his life. There are grandparents. Of course, nuclear families are growing. We have less amount of grandparents who are staying together. But thankfully, we still have the sanskara that we visit them very often. Or they visit us very often. So the grandparents are there, the uncles and aunts are there, the unmarried chacha, bua, mosi, tai. All these people are around. The friends and the family who come. Right? The way we have, for example, a Sanskrit Bharati group is there, so a Sampur Swadeshi group is there. So all of you socially interact. All that is family. So it's not just only for the one who has his or her own child. There is something which actually goes to all adults. How you are supposed to behave when you are in presence of children. Because how you behave is how the child will also take on. So if there is a friend, you're going to stay at a friend's place, you are not a parent, but your friend is a parent, and your friend's child actually sees you doing that thing that I spoke about, the corporate calls, that you're rather saying, oh, this is so sickening, I'm just so sick and tired of my boss and this and that. What you are doing, that you are actually giving that sanskara to the child. So not the damage is not being done only to your child. You're also capable, or we are also capable of doing that damage to others' children as well. So that is a very important aspect of it. Practicality. Now, when you talk of a lot of parenting tips that they talk about, they say, okay, fine, do this, do that. There is a list that they create for you. There's a book that they create for you. Versus what you say, okay, from the experience of my generations, certain things get passed on the family, the elders tell a lot of things. These are all experience based. So get on to that. That is a fundamental difference that we see. And a very important aspect again is that the environment that you create, the food that you feed to the children, all these things have an impact on the body. That is not a vichara which is present in the modern parenting concepts. What is that vichara? A lot of us have someone who comes and cook for us. At least in India, it is a big norm. Because the mother is busy, we have to go to school. She also has to go to office. So there is a maid who comes and cooks. What is the bhava? What is the reason that person is cooking? Because they will get paid for that. Versus the bhava of the mother who is cooking for the child. There's a lot of difference in that. You're eating the organic food versus the genetically modified food. Krodha, the junk food that the children eat. All these things have an impact not just on the body, they have an impact on the mind, they have an impact on the psyche. All these things is something which is part, the ahar, the vihar and the vyavahar is the crux of Vedic parenting. The sanskara which is there, sanskara is not only the shoulder sanskaras, that the gunas that we are imbibing in them, being parents is something what Vedic parenting talks about. So this is again, as I said, because the topic is vast, I tried to create that curiosity that I think will lead you to know more about it, and you can certainly know more about it through various sahitya which is available. We also do shivers, and I think we were talking about that in the morning, that if we can organize one such detailed shivir and a camp in Singapore as well, that those who are interested can come and also bring others as well. Because this is not something which only affects my child, it affects me as an adult towards other child as well and other children as well. So what is it that it is going to give you? What kind of problems is going to solve for you? Again, health of the child, the behavior of the child, and the mental situation of the child. These are the things. So the idea is that I'm leaving you with the thought of thinking about it. Assess how do you think you are as a parent. The very first thing is the swikarata of our level of parenthood, and then start on with the idea: do I want to know more about it? Do I want to understand what is it? Do I want to imbibe that into my children? Whatever I probably have got from my parents. We have very different life when we were children, and our children have very different life than our life in our childhood. You see all the good things that you got and you saw, the environment that you got. Are we giving that to our children? If you are not, what are those missing parts, and who can provide me with that knowledge that how am I supposed to deal with this situation, with the change environment? And that is what Vedic parenting actually helps you understand and helps you equip with. So with that thought, I will end this my talk. If there are any, we are at the time only at 9 o'clock. But if there are any questions or any something that anyone wants to ask, we can do that.
Child is already having its own previous sanskars from previous births. Now doing this short samskar, what is it? Anyway, it has its own samskars. So what is the point of doing these sanskars? Anyway, it is going to, depending on its karma from previous things, it's going to happen now. It's going to influence its life. So what these 16 sanskars are going to do?
This good question. So his question was that if the child is coming already with the knowledge and the sanskar of previous births, then what is the need of doing these Shodash sanskaras? As I said, the definition of the word sanskara itself is that the gunas that we imbibe with Purushartha. And Purushartha is available only with human beings. So whatever is that we are carrying, the good we are supposed to strengthen and bring out. Whatever is not good or negative or bad, with the Purushartha, we can reduce the effect, we can kill the effect, and we can rather reverse it as well. That is why it is important for these sanskaras, because Purushartha is available only with human race. It's not available with any other species. And that is what differentiates us, and that is the reason that these sanskaras are important. And it is not just as a ritual. The idea is every one of the sanskaras had a scientific reason behind it. It's a stage for everything. There's a time for everything. Kala is very important. So that is something which has been an important aspect of all the sanskaras. On what you do, and at the same time, at what time do you do it? That is why it is. So you're not supposed to bring the child out before 4 months. Out in open. So there is a reason for that. There is a lot of health issues. The child is very sensitive. The immunity is very low. So do not do the nishkraman before 4 months. The reason for that. I am a living example of that. When I was 13, I was born in year 75, and there was emergency in Delhi. I was born in Delhi because of the situation, and my father was posted in Nepal at that time. I was 13 days old when we kind of went back to Nepal because the situation was not good in Delhi. So my mother, who's a prasuta, and me, 13 days old. I was born in July, so it was rainy season. So Guruji spoke about the Vata Prakopa becomes very prominent in that for general people as well. Nishkraman should not happen for 4 months. I was 13 days old when I traveled from Delhi to Nepal in rainy season, where Nepal is like, like tropical, like Singapore. When it pours like that, and there were not enough roads. My father was with CPWD. He was posted there because that national highway was getting built between India and Nepal. It was not there till that time. So in the river, this monsoon rivers which there. So they carried me like Krishna in the tokri, and they crossed the rivers. There are those tribal people who were there. So they carried in one. My mother, being a prasuta of 13 days, she walked in the water, which is chest high. All her life, her vat got prakupit, and my vat also got prakupit. And till date, that is a major problem that I have. So that is something which happened because there's a reason. The nishkraman should not happen till 4 months for a reason, because the immunity of the child as well as the prasuta is very, very low. Whatever happens gets imprinted as a blueprint of your body, of your prakriti. Now, whatever, I have the best Acharya ji, who, from Ayurveda. But that part of me cannot be cured because that has done a permanent damage in me. It did a permanent damage in my mother. She passed away 2 years back, and ultimately her Vat got into that stage that ultimately Vat stopped moving in her body. I mean, that's how we say the heartbeat stopped, the blood pressure came to zero. So you see the impact. These things you think, oh, these are very क्या होगा ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा. But I shared this very personal example just to tell you that the damage doesn't show on that day. The damage shows much later. My mother passed away at 82 years of age. All her life she had that, and the way she passed was because her Prakutpit Vat could not heal itself because it got damaged at that time. So that is the importance of understanding, of knowing your body, of knowing how your and your children's body work, and the reason behind all these practices and the things that we say. And that is what Vedic parenting does, that it actually equips you with that knowledge. So is the sanskara. Yes, please.
Child doesn't want to talk, lock the door. How to solve it?
Yeah, that's good. One with the very first tool for that.
Or with the friend, that too. Friends also don't want to talk, don't want to tell who are her parents. Came and stayed with me for 3+ months. She also don't want to say. She also same.
Yeah.
How to solve it?
Good question.
Later I got very depressed, and then
You gave up. Right?
No, I told child, you want to come, you let me talk to your mother. She says she is in India taking care of father. Okay, then call her. Don't want to give me her number, you call her using your phone. No, nothing. She don't want me to give any of her relatives.
That is a lack of samvada in both the children's life when that samvada was supposed to happen in a younger age. So what then they got a disconnect from the parent. What happens again when we say of samvada?
I was addicted to alcohol, but she came to my house. She said, now auntie, I don't feel like drinking. So I tried to encourage her. Okay, stop drinking, this, that. She said, now I am not drinking. I had a very bad friend, now I am not friend of her. She
Good.
made me happy. So good happened to my child also, but still they want to close the door and say.
Yeah, that is because it's a good question, because when we talk of samvada, and again, what is it that you're talking to a child about? Is it always instruction or some exchange of information which has a transaction involved? Ye kar do versus aisa. One thing is we generally sitting and checking. For example, when you talk of probably listening to a katha, any story or something, you're talking about of things which are not bad, but still random enough.
My child respects my parents so much, she wants them to be here.
Yeah.
They don't want to be in singer.
Yeah, because because what do the grandparents do? They talk all nonsense with children. They just want to engage with them, right? So what they do, that they engage with them at that age when that imprint was happening. So the child stays connected.
Like too much like you only, they follow like religious.
That is fine. That is fine.
They are always busy, but my daughter wants, but they say we don't want singer.
That is, and now those are the kind of practical challenges. I think they're very specific to everyone and you address them. But I'm telling you the reason why they feel more associated with that, because at that time they created that samvada with the children.
So my daughter hardly spent time with my parents. Hardly. But she wants like grandparents should be there with me.
So there is so she feels good. She feels good when they are around.
I'm like proud. I feel proud that at least she wants.
Yeah.
People. Otherwise, some people, grandparents.
Do that, but also observe it more closely. That it should not be an escape mechanism for the child to say, because she knows that they will not come here. Okay, fine. So
I don't want to.
So the idea is that the child is rather using the situation to tell you that, okay, fine, now only that will happen and I'll be happy, and they'll anyway not come. She knows that in her head, or he knows in his head, and that's why I say this is only I'll be doing that, or I talk to them, because they're not every day they are. I don't want to use the word, but sometimes we do nag children as well. So discipline again, Anushasan does not mean that.
I had some problem in my family.
Yeah.
And then my daughter overworked since very young age in Singapore, and India doesn't allow that. India law doesn't allow children to work since very early. Singapore is 16 age due them bank account, government banks due them bank accounts, 13 age they want to, the McDonald's due them cashier jobs.
So that is the idea that the vyavastha around.
And she took care of herself since
So-
very small age.
Yeah, so she thinks that she doesn't need that parent anymore because at that point in time probably some aspect stayed missing. There's also a possibility, and that's what I'm saying, that's a very very grave problem for working mothers especially. It's a possibility that you're a working mother, that you know the absence, that is the shape that absence takes. And I don't want to threaten you by saying that, but at a certain.
I was not getting job, but she worked. Then I got job only since COVID. I was trying so much, I was not able to find because my in-laws never allowed me to work.
Yeah, I think what we can do that.
I took care of herself because my husband had a lot of credit.
Yeah. So what we'll do? What's your name? Sorry.
My name is Bharati.
Bharati, it'll be, I think, a good idea. In case you want, we can have probably a one-to-one discussion on that and then probably look at certain solutions to that. Let's do that. You can do that with the Shivaji in the next 2-3 days if you want. We can do that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I don't
So,
want to beat anyone.
no, it is not for children. No. That's one thing which is very, very, you have to be very, very clear about it. The counseling, even if it has to happen with the parent, not with the child. You're directly telling the child, oh, something is wrong with you.
And the outsiders keep teaching her, you want money, you want to work, you want money.
So it is not.
Tell your mother where are you working.
That's what I'm saying. That is the Vikrut Manasikta, and that is so the idea is what is that Purushartha that the parent would do to ensure that kind of environment is not available. As I said, so what we'll do that, we'll discuss that. But that is something I do with a lot of, now I'm in Pune, so a lot of people come with that. The moment I spoke about Vedic parenting and all that, so everyone came, please counsel my child. I said, I'll counsel the child later. First I have to counsel you, you come. And there are 3 parents that I did that. And after that, you know what, we just made these small little changes and we realized that actually the challenge was at our end. So and that's the children, why would the child is closest to the parents, to the grandparents, to their own family. If they don't even want to talk to the family, why would they like to talk about the stranger who has no stakes involved? But this is how the system has become. We have counselors in school, we have counselors everywhere. So what is it that we want to do to ensure that this kind of environment doesn't affect our child? So as I said, there are specific things that we can definitely do that. We can talk about that. But the fundamental part is what the parents do. Guruji says one very important thing, Bade Guruji, that what a parent can do or what a parent did not do, an Acharya cannot change, even 100 Acharyas cannot change that. If there is a bad habit which is imbibed or some avaguna or some guna which has been distorted in the child, even 100 Acharyas cannot correct it. That is the importance of parents and the influence of parents on the child. This is a situation, it's an external situation when we say, our child is not influenced by it. Why? Because he is not listening to the instruction, he is not following the instruction that we are giving. And to that we think the child does not listen to us, the child is not under our influence. That is different. You gave an instruction, the child doesn't want to adhere to it, even an adult child or a small child, and we say, you know what, the child is not under our influence, हमारे हाथ से निकल गया है. आपका बहुत इन्फ्लुएंस है, कोई चीज है जो उसको इतनी मिसिंग लगी है, उसके मानस शास्त्र को समझना जरूरी है कि वो आपसे कट गया है. आपका सबसे ज्यादा इन्फ्लुएंस है, जो उसे चाहिए था उसको जब वो नहीं मिला तो वो आपसे कट गया. That is a very fundamental point. Situations are always there. जीवन में परिस्थितियां तो होती ही हैं. तो वो परिस्थितियां और हर किसी के जीवन में आती हैं और अलग होती हैं. The different circumstances in everyone's life. But no one's life is hunky dory. We have the best example of, we spoke about Rama and we spoke about Pandavas. Was their life easy? But they are our biggest heroes. So it's how you handle a situation, what you do in that situation is what makes it different. And that is why the importance of parenting, most importantly at that age of 0 to 10 years, the most important years when you are building and forming something. But we also have challenges. Lakshya-heenata is a very important, or I would say one of the most prominent challenges that we see, especially in the teenage. I'm assuming that probably your daughter is now in teenage, or probably very close to being 20 or so. That is the age when there is Lakshya-heenata. What is it that you're supposed to do? Because the idea is just like the video game. Probably just, earn the next meal, earn the next meal, earn the next meal, like that. But there is no lakshya in the life. There's no bigger thing in the life. So that lakshya, then they get bored. What am I supposed to do? And that frustration comes out in many ways. One of the ways, because the mother usually knows the child in and out, and they know it. All the children know it, that their mother knows them inside out. So if they will be more exposed to the mother, they'll spend more time with the mother, she will get to know all the realities. I don't want to tell that reality because I respect her so much that I don't want her to see me as someone who has deteriorated. That is also a psyche, that. So there can be n number of reasons. So the very first thing is to be observant, and the mitravat vyavar, which is we're talking about. So there is a right combination of prema and discipline which is needed, and that's why usually both the parents are needed. And it is not the good cop, bad cop theory. It is not a good cop, bad cop theory, but you still need that combination because the conversation sometimes has to be different. Mother converses differently, a father converses differently, or a man converses differently and a woman converses differently. So those are the kind of things that are you need to understand in detail so that you can equip yourself on how to deal with the situation. And that is only a situation. The more important thing is to remember it is only a situation. A situation is only one part of the life. Life is big, huge. So deal with the situation, at the same time don't lose track of the bigger target or the bigger goal on what is that you want to make your child, the good human being. That should be a prasanna chitta child, that should be a swastha child. So what is that you're supposed to do about that? We can have probably a separate conversation if you want, that will be fine. Sorry, you were asking something.
My question is this is the mindset also. What I see in our Bharat, many things are that we have a scientific reason behind it why we are doing it. So even how we explain Vedic rituals, whatever we are doing, and all those things. But somewhere now down the line, it's they are telling us to do it, but we don't know exactly for what reason they are doing it. So I had the experience same thing. They used to say that you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to do it. Okay, we are okay, being a child or whatever it is, we kept following the same thing, but we didn't know exactly why we have to do it. I had a question, but somehow down the line I got to know. I got my answers, not for everything, but maybe for a few things. So what I understood is for everything, whatever is being followed in Bharat, there is a scientific reason.
Yes.
It's not simply
For the sake of it, yes.
We are doing it.
Yes.
So what I see is when we have such good things and we know that there's a benefit out of it for the personal or for the society and all. So what is the reason that we are not able to continue those things and we are losing it out? That for even these kind of things, we need to do a kind of come outside of Bharat and talk about it. And still we don't see much of a ears to hear those things.
Yeah.
So somewhere in India,
Right.
so in Bharat also.
Yes. It's the same. It's not different, because when you talk of such topic, yes, it is. You're very right, and it's a good question. We get curious about it. So imagine for a generation or two, he stopped giving. It's not an explanation giving. It is explaining the tarka behind what is being done. Right. So what happened that there is a big, an entire generation. He just said you're supposed to do it. Do it. Don't ask questions because you're not supposed to ask questions to your elders. And we are a Tarka Pradhan Sabhyata. Nyaya Darshan is our most important darshan, which is based on Tarka. The first grantha of Nyaya is Tarka Sangraha. So you understand, and then you question, and because we question, our rishis questioned, we got all the answers. So there's an entire generation which has been, I would say, because of various reasons, the conditioning has been such that don't ask questions, simply follow. A big part of it is in our education system. We are being made followers. I took an example of that kindergarten thing, the conditioning. So imagine for 12 years, for 15 years, and especially in the formative years, there's a conditioning which has happened. So conditioning, what is the conditioning? What is available to me right in front of me in form of a book or of a paid course is something which is beneficial for me, or which is helping me in getting a job, is the only thing that I will listen to, or I would spend my time for. Anything else, fine. Yeah, it is good. It's good to know it, but that's about it. So that conditioning it went on for so many years. So it takes time to break that conditioning. And it takes a deliberate effort, and that is the Purushartha we talk about, to break that conditioning. And that is why Prasadji talks about this prasar part of it, that engage more people, is because you have that chetana that no, I think I need to know this because it's going to help me. So the idea is how you understand or see the direct benefit that you get out of it is when you get interested into something. Now what we are trying to do, and that is the reason it is, for example, something like this. We say, okay, bring your problem, let's solve your problems. When you see a problem getting solved, okay, fine, this is beneficial for me, let me come. Next time, which is a slow process, certainly slow process. So the whole idea of the manas getting affected, of our psyche getting affected, is so strong that if we have to now decondition ourselves in this lifetime only, in one lifetime, after all the sanskaras have been done, it takes a lot of purushartha. Ahar has a very important role to play in that. The food that we eat, stale food we eat, stale we think. So the Bauddhic alasya is very high among us, but not all of us. So even if there are less people, all of you are still present. So to look at things with a positive outlook, you all there, you want to, understand, you want to bring that change, you want to learn more. So this aspect of looking only at the negative, sandeha that Guruji spoke about, from media what you see, the movies that you see. So these smaller bhavas that we are incorporating into our psyche is something which prevents us from trying to, get something which would need us to do some work. कुछ करना पड़ेगा, रहने दो. You would rather go out to Little India. Now go to Little India outside and see the number of people on the streets. What they're doing, they're just standing. Two people are standing. They're not even talking. They're doing nothing. They're just standing. See the situation here. So that is the murcha. A lot of this thing also comes from food. The kind of ahara we say, eat fresh food. घर का बना खाइए. उसके बहुत सारे कारण ये होते हैं that you stay active. People don't want to stay active. It is so there are three gunas. You would have heard of sattva, rajas, tama. It's again a big topic in itself. But the tamas is increasing. That brings alasya. Alasya is physical, when you don't feel like getting up or do something, or if I have to do 10 times, go there and pick that up. If I'm feeling lazy, now we have the remote controls for TVs. Earlier what we used to do, I don't know if you guys faced it in your childhood, I'm sure some of us would relate. You're supposed to go and increase the voice, change the channel. Now we have the remote. So we have been conditioned for so many years in remote. Now if you don't have the remote, you won't feel like doing that because we've been conditioned with that alasya. Similarly, you have manasik alasya when you don't want to have new vicharas. So when you play the video gaming or you're watching something, what you are supposed to do when you are watching something, you're supposed to do nothing. Just sit and watch. Only your eyes are doing the job and your mind is doing the job. We got used to it. I don't have to think anything. Oh, something is happening, director is taking care of it. The movie is happening in front of me. There's a katha going on. I don't have to think something. So there's a manasik alasya which comes in. Then there's a bauddhik alasya which would need me to learn something new. Everyone wants a PPT. Everyone wants a copy of the PPT. We don't want to remember it. We don't want to write it down. That is the bauddhik alasya. So all that, and it has taken so many years for it to build, so it will take some time for it to go away as well. And the idea, that is what we say, we all... Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes.
Very sorry. I see that. Yeah.
Yes, I'm so sorry for that. It took the question, but yes, it's a good thing. In case you want, we can just around for 2 days and come and have a church on that. But the reason is this only: we have to wake up and we have to keep waking other people up as well. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.